Flu season is just around the corner, and for many with certain medical conditions, a flu shot is mandatory. But what about everyone else? Well, is it worth the poke in the arm? I recently spoke with Winona Health's Dr. Al Begwin about the flu and flu shots. First of all, thanks for taking some time to join us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
The flu, there's a lot of different definitions of what the flu is. Can you kind of give us the clinical definition?
Yeah, the flu that we're looking at when we're talking about flu vaccine and flu shots is a respiratory illness. It affects the lungs predominantly. It's not a gastrointestinal illness, so when people talk about having the flu and having nausea and vomiting and diarrhea, that's really gastroenteritis. That's something different. We're talking about a condition that's associated with high fever, sore throat, body aches, and mostly coughing and nasal symptoms.
And I know flu shots, always a good idea. I know there's some people that have that fear that, oh, I'm going to get the flu if I get the flu, but there is no active virus in the vaccine, correct? Or is that not quite so sure?
There's two sides to the coin here. One of the vaccines, which is FluMist, which is not a shot, but actually a nasal mist or nasal spray, is actually a live vaccine. So that actually is an attenuated vaccine, which means it's a weakened strain of the flu. So it gives somebody basically a cold and causes their immune system to react to it and create antibodies to prevent getting the virulent strains of flu that are out there. The other vaccinations are shots, and they're all killed vaccine. So that basically means they don't give you the flu. They expose you to particles that are associated with the flu so that your body builds antibodies to them, and those antibodies then will protect against the actual influenza infection later in the year.
And if somebody is experiencing body aches, should they come in and get tested for the flu? Should they just try to treat something on their own with some bed rest or whatnot? What's the best cause of action?
In general, once the flu season is in full swing, and that's usually in the later winter months. Right now, we're kind of saying flu season. It's really, the season right now is flu vaccination season. It takes about 3 or 4 weeks for people to develop an immune response to the vaccine. So once someone gets the flu shot, they're really not protected against influenza for almost a month. So we want to vaccinate people well in advance of the flu actually being in the community so that the majority of the community is inoculated or immune to the disease. So right now we can say it's flu vaccination season. The real flu season is going to start in the winter months, latter November, December, January, February. It'll usually last for about 2 or 3 weeks, or it'll peak for about 2 or 3 weeks and then last another 2 or 3 months until it kind of tails off.
When should someone come in and see their doctor if they think they've got the flu?
In general, when the flu season is in full swing, if they have flu-like symptoms, most healthy people can simply stay home and treat at home. Hydrate really well, use anti-inflammatories like Advil or Aleve, Motrin, Naproxen, those kind of medications to help with the muscle aches and body aches. And deal with the fever. People that have other illnesses, asthma, or are on chemotherapy drugs, or have sickle cell disease, or COPD, or other comorbidities, diabetes, people that are older than 65, that population is at higher risk, and when they have those symptoms, they should come in as soon as possible. Usually the disease is best treated if we start antiviral therapy within the first 48 hours of the illness. So it's important not to sit back and wait until you're really sick if you're a high-risk person. If you're a high-risk person, you should be seen right away and treated. The risk with influenza actually is predominantly from secondary infections. The people that die from influenza typically will have that occur because of secondary bacterial pneumonia. They'll get pneumonia from the flu. It sets them up to get secondary infections, and those need to be treated.
And the flu, it's a serious thing. I mean, people do die from the flu if they aren't treated properly.
Yes, that's an important point. Right now there's a big scare about Ebola virus. The fact of the matter is, this year there will be far more people in the United States that die from influenza than are even infected with Ebola. Traditionally, over the past 5 decades or so, the range of flu fatalities has been anywhere from 4,000 a year up to almost 50,000. In the epidemic of 1986 and 87, there were over 48,000 people that died from influenza in the United States. So it's a very serious disease. It's very contagious. And it's very important that people get immunized, both to protect themselves, but also to protect their community.
Well, thank you so much, Doctor, for taking some time to explain the flu and encourage everyone to get their flu shots this year.
Thank you.
Winona Health is offering flu shots on a walk-in basis Monday through Fridays between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. on the second floor of the clinic at 855 Mankato Avenue here in Winona. And many local pharmacies are offering flu shots as well.